So, as you know, the topic for today is Master Digitalization and Automation of Flexible Workspaces. We picked this topic because it seems that it's valid for every time, every decade. So we want to continue the conversation on this topic and actually show you a bit more how you can make the most out of OfficeRnD and how you can implement the digitalization functionalities in OfficeRnD within your space. So before I jump into the topic itself, I would like to present you today our speakers. So we have Viljana Mutafova, she's right next to me, Pavel Agov as well, and myself. Three of us, we're working in OfficeRnD and we're part of the onboarding and customer success teams. Most likely, we've been working with most of you in the past weeks or years. So we're excited to start the conversation. Just a brief kind of a framework of the session today. We'll start with some general information about the process of digitalization and automation. Then we'll go through the native integrations that OfficeRnD offers, and we'll give you some tips how you can use them. And then we'll dive deeper into the most interesting and exciting part, which is focused on cases with Zapier, usage of our open API, and Webhooks. So let's begin with that. Before going into the examples, I just want to make a differentiation between the words digitalization and automation, because very often they're used as synonyms, but actually there are some differences. So when we talk about digitalization, we actually mean the use of digital technologies and digitalized data to impact how work gets done, while the automation is actually focused on the usage of information technology or machines or hardware to take on repetitive tasks and processes so that your team can have more time to focus on the more important stuff. And what you can actually digitalize and automate in your organization. I used here the metaphor of the organizational iceberg, so I can highlight the main aspects of your organization that are subject to automation. So these are mainly the structures, the policies, and the procedures in your space. And to broaden the topic, actually, I wanted to go through a couple of points where we highlighted the need of digitalization and automation and why it is so important. So first of all, implementing such tools saves you and your time a lot of and your team a lot of efforts and time. It drives excellence. It definitely minimizes the human prompt errors. So this is a huge improvement, and it plays a huge part in your process changes. So it puts your process in order. In a future moment, actually, it allows you to make better decisions based on data that you collect when you use different digital tools and technology. And it helps you actually open up to new areas of opportunity, and you can focus on new revenue streams, because when some of the repetitive tasks are covered by automated tools, then you have time to actually think of innovation. It also increases the safety of your business, so it cuts any risks of additional bridges, leaks of information, and so on. It helps you to actually make informed decisions and planning ahead, again, based on the data that you collect. And it drives actually customers' excellence and improves their experience. So when you have tenants in your space and you provide them with the necessary digital tools, their experience is definitely better, and yeah, and their satisfaction is higher. And on top of that, of course, now year and a half after the pandemic, we know that due to COVID, every business, but flex space operators in particular, face different government regulations and requirements, which also enhance the need of implementing quickly new solutions within the spaces. And when you make your decision actually to implement new tools for digitalization or automation, there are a couple of things that you should take into account. First of all, it's your business model, how you work, and how you manage your services, so that you can make your decision what exactly you want to automate or digitalize. The other part is the size of your team and the departments and the capacity that your team has. After that, of course, is the budget that you have to spare. And the size of your space. So those two are interconnected. For example, if you're planning to implement a door access system, then definitely the size of your space and the budget are going hand to hand. And linked to COVID, you need to take into account the country specifics. In the flex space world, there are a few areas that are most commonly a focus of digitalization and automation. We have divided them in those 4 areas. So the first one is space and facility management, back office operations, tenants management and communication, and teamwork and collaboration. And in order to facilitate that, once you start using OfficeRnD, you have actually 3 options. So option 1 is to rely on the native integrations. Option 2 is to dive deeper into our open API and see how you can integrate external digital solutions. And option 3 is to use webhooks. So now I'll pass the stage to my colleague Liliana, who will tell you a bit more about our native integrations.
Woohoo! Switching chairs here. Hi everyone, Liliana here from the customer success team. I'm happy that you have joined us today on this rather big discussion on automation. As Miri already mentioned, there are 3 different options for automation that OfficeRnD offers currently. At this point of the presentation, we are starting with the native integrations that we have and the options that we provide with them. So I'm pretty sure that most of you already use quite a lot of softwares, and most of the time you are struggling how to connect the information with one source of truth. So everything is gathered at one and the same place, so you don't have to open the different software or the different spreadsheets. So that's why automation actually is so important nowadays in our lives. It definitely helps us to keep all the information in one place. It also helps us keep track of the history of the made changes that have been done. And last but not least, of course, it minimizes the chance of errors that can occur when we are manually syncing multiple systems, because as I already mentioned, I'm sure that you're most probably trying to handle at least 2 or 3 systems already. So automation is definitely something that we are trying to look into more and more in our day-to-day lives in order to make our lives easier. What we can offer in OfficeRnD. In the next slides, you would see that we have actually separated into different modules of your day-to-day operations, like space facility management, communications, etc., and the different native integrations that we are currently providing. So starting with the door access systems that most of the cases can be very handy and useful when it comes to automation. You know that the door access systems actually save time and efforts by providing by providing you actually with all of the data that it needs to grant access to members automatically, which would make your life a lot more easier. For every company, staff member or guest, access can be automatically matched to their respective membership in OfficeRnD or to any predefined area that you select of your physical space. That's something that could be currently achieved with Soto-KS, Brivo, and Kisi in terms of softwares that we are providing native integration with. Another thing that might be very crucial is the Wi-Fi connection. So in terms of native integrations, we can currently offer Iron Wi-Fi as a provider. And our OfficeRnD integration with the Iron Wi-Fi enables the connection between your membership management system, which would be in OfficeRnD, and your radius-based network. OfficeRnD will easily synchronize the user's information in a secure way with your radius-based network, so your members will be able to log in with the same credentials they have for the mobile app and the member portal, which we believe would definitely help in the whole process. When it comes to guest control and check-in, only several months ago, we have released one of our newest functionality and app, which is the reception app. Maybe some of you have already heard about it. Maybe this is the first time that you hear actually about it. But the OfficeRnD reception app is a completely branded white label app that automates and streamlines the main receptionist processes. It allows you to easily collect visitor information without the need of a physical receptionist sitting in your space. The main functionalities of the app, I would say currently are 3. First one is the visitors management, then the member check-in, and last but not least is the deliveries management, which come to be quite important already for our clients as far as we have heard in terms of feedback. So apart from the reception app that we provide in OfficeRnD, we also have an integration with Greetly. Greetly can be connected to OfficeRnD with the help of Zapier, and only in a matter of several minutes without a single line of code. Zapier can actually allow you to automatically send information from Greetly into OfficeRnD. So Greetly would be another option that you can use when it comes to guest control and check-in options. Jumping to printing, many of our clients are using eZip currently in order to ease their life on a daily basis when it comes to printing functionalities. eZip basically is a fully managed cloud printing platform. It enables members to print with any device from any location to any printer. With eZip, you can easily control who accesses your printers, how much they can print, and whether printing is being charged. This makes eZip a perfect solution for your printing needs, I would say. Apart from eZip, we also offer PaperCut. However, currently, and maybe unfortunately at this stage, we do not have an internal integration ready. However, integrating with PaperCut is still possible through a third-party integrator. This is done via a partner of PaperCut, a tech company which is called Taco Technologies. This is something that we have as a piece of information on our website. So if you just Google PaperCut OfficeRnD, I'm sure that you would be able to get a bit more information and details how you can approach this and how you can potentially connect with PaperCut. Reporting, that's a big topic, I would say, an issue sometimes. So what we actually offer in OfficeRnD are the so-called OfficeRnD tickets. The ticketing system is something that has been working very well so far, and it's been very helpful because your members can directly send you a ticket, which would report if they have any issue with something in the space, or there's some problem that needs to be solved, any feedback, but they can directly reach out to you, and you can receive this as a message on the admin side. You can change the status of the feedback or the issue and communicate with them easily. So if you still haven't checked out the tickets functionality in OfficeRnD, we would definitely recommend that, so you can automate the communication when it comes to reporting of feedback and problems. Already mentioned the issues as well. Here again comes something that was released only a month ago, and that again is it's a very huge topic and functionality in OfficeRnD. This is the OfficeRnD marketplace. This is a digital ecosystem that brings all of your services, shops, vendors, and stores together to facilitate simple customer transactions. OfficeRnD Marketplace allows you to create branded stores such as local cafes, let's say, for example, Starbucks, to offer specific items from their menu, so your members can easily browse through the items and make an order. Members can make orders from the members portal currently, but we know oftentimes people like to order food from their phones. So this is also available. With the marketplace update, members can now order food, drinks, and services through the OfficeRnD mobile app as well. Apart from that, something that comes additionally and could also be very helpful, the marketplace module would also help you manage complex catering requests, for example, with ease. With the marketplace update, we have added an entire orders module that allows your members, guests, and staff to create specific orders to make the process from order to delivery easier to manage as an operator. This ordering and purchase process is now automated, so that it should be much easier to introduce a catering option to your space if you haven't done so before. Support for catering menus has been requested for a while, and we are excited to hear your thoughts and feedback for this feature, as this is the first release, and definitely there will be some improvements coming with it. So again, more information could be found in our knowledge base. If you have any other questions, you can always reach out to our support team so you can get more details. Last but not least, any unfortunate event always brings some benefits. So due to the COVID situation and the whole year and a half craziness that we experienced, there were some actually good solutions that were triggered by the unexpected circumstances. We have listed two of them. The first one is the touchless sign-in, which is one of the features of the OfficeRnD reception app that we mentioned on the above, and it allows visitors to check in by simply scanning a QR code on their phone. Simple and easy. And the second one, I would say it's very exciting and it's been awaited for quite some time, is a floor plan desk booking, which would be available in the members portal. It would give your members the ability to easily select a floor plan view from the meeting room calendar and book a desk, room, or office visually from the floor plan directly in the members portal. It would be released in the upcoming days. So again, very, very exciting, and just keep looking for the new release that's coming in the new upcoming days. So much for the space management. Back office operations. Again, very, very important part here. When it comes to the community database, you can always use our OfficeRnD members module, which actually collects all of the data for your members and for your companies. So if you haven't really, let's say, researched and looked into it in a more detailed way, this is a very good opportunity to start utilizing it even better. Membership trackings and reporting as a whole now can actually provide a better experience for you as a user, because again, seems like this year we had lots of releases, right? We have released OfficeRnD Analytics. OfficeRnD Analytics gives your team all of the information needed to run your space with detailed pre-made dashboard tracking, revenue, traffic, occupancy, memberships, bookings, and overall utilization of your space. So you can spend more time making decisions and less time actually making reports. What is more, and even I would say more exciting about the new OfficeRnD Analytics module is that actually we also introduced custom dashboards. We understand that many space owners actually have specific and unique ways of tracking their data that might not fit into one of our pre-built analytics modules. For this reason, we have paid special attention and actually built the ability to create custom dashboards using a selection of over 50 plus widgets tracking the most important flex information. Custom dashboards will allow operators to tailor their reporting based on their unique space needs, and we are thrilled to see the creative dashboard design you as our customers will come up with to solve your specific data requirements. Meeting from bookings. I don't know how many of you, again, know, but we have a separate OfficeRnD room app. OfficeRnD actually provides a tablet-free app that can help you show more information about the meetings taking place in a meeting room at a single glance. If you have a tablet, you can simply place the tablet, download our meeting room app, and in that way, your members would be able to see when the room is occupied, are there any other meetings scheduled for the day, or the room is currently available. The only thing that you need to do is simply download the app from the App Store or the Google Store and install it on the tablet that you're using. Invoicing and billing. OfficeRnD actually allows for automated billing. I don't know how many of you currently are using the automated option. I don't know if that currently actually fits into your business model and actually makes your life easier, but at any point which you're ready and you decide, you can enable the automated billing functionality. So OfficeRnD starts generating and sending the invoices to your members instead of you. So you're not executing every month a manual bill run. Accounting and bookkeeping, when it comes to accounting integrations, we have Xero and QuickBooks, which are helping our clients a lot and making their life easier. So if you'd like to sync your accounting information from OfficeRnD and back to the current software that you're using, Xero or QuickBooks would be the native integrations that we're currently offering. In terms of payment collections, we have Stripe as payment gateway that has been mostly used and advised on our site for credit card payments. We have Go Cardless for debit, direct debit payments, usually used more for debit card payments. PayPal again, and bank transfer. Again, whenever you're integrating with one of those, make sure to again search for the one of our help articles, which explains which payment gateway integrations work in our different modules. For example, will Stripe work on our sign up page, on the public calendar, in the members portal as well, because sometimes we do have limitations for how the different integrations work. So do pay attention to that. Again, when it comes to reports, our new OfficeRnD Analytics is a very good tool for you to track the reporting and the different statistics that you're looking into and metrics. Last but not least, we have several other native integrations and functionalities which can make your management and communication with your tenants a bit easier. The meeting from bookings and our OfficeRnD calendar, from which your members can actually directly book their meetings from the app or from the members portal. Additionally to that, we also have integration with Google Calendar, so you can sync your bookings from Google Calendar straight into OfficeRnD. Again, even though I have mentioned it already, when it comes to issues and feedback, the OfficeRnD tickets functionality can be your best friend, really, because your members can just directly click a submit a ticket button and just with a very, very short information, submit any problem or feedback that they have straight to you. You can initiate and post any events that are currently happening in your space. And I believe in the next year and of course in the future, we'll have more physical events to come. So definitely take a look into the events module if you currently are not using it or not utilizing it that much, because you can actually post events in the members portal so everyone is aware of what's happening in your space. When it comes to collaboration, we do have an integration, native integration with Slack. So you can easily integrate with Slack, so you can communicate with your members if that's the main channel of communication that you have actually selected and decided for your space. And here as well, Video Rooms Jitsi, another collaboration tool that might be used. And again, something that was born out of the COVID-19, I would say. You know, during the tough COVID-19 times, even though your community needed to work from home, that doesn't mean that you need to be distant from each other all the time. So we live in a digital age that allows us to be connected even when we are stuck at home, and even if we continue to be stuck at home up to a present day. That's why back at the time, maybe it was last year, OfficeRnD decided to give you an option to set the video room page on your members portal. So your members can create and select different virtual rooms in which you can chat, discuss ideas, and continue working together as a team. In terms of announcement, you can easily post any news that are currently happening in your space using our dashboard and making a post. And another good thing that we have developed is push-up notifications, which means that your members will receive immediately a notification for any message, event, or something that's happening in the space from their app. If they're using the members portal, they'll just use the dashboard and they'll receive notifications there. While on the app, if you're using the premium app, that's important to be said, not the free version of the OfficeRnD app, you would get push notifications for the actions that you're doing on the admin side. Benefits, in terms of benefits, you can always use our benefits module where you can publish the different benefits that you offer to your members. For example, monthly discounts for coffee shops or any other discounts that you are providing on a monthly or regular basis. And in terms of native integration, we do have one with included co, which gives co-working communities the opportunity to tap into network-wide perks negotiated by Included Co. Additionally, it also allows you utilizing one more revenue source with revenue sharing on many of the benefits provided in the network. So if you haven't checked it out, again, you can go to our website and take a deeper dive into more information about Included Co. I will wrap up the native integrations part with the team work and coordination module. Here again, one of the most important part when actually running a space is always communicating properly with your members. So again, here comes Slack, OfficeRnD tickets again as a recommendation, because you can easily receive feedback or information about any issues that your members could be experiencing. And last but not least, you can always easily, as a team, take information in terms of metrics from the new OfficeRnD analytics, so just summarize it and then take a data-driven decisions on what to do and how to operate further. To put it in a nutshell, just wanted to tell that these are the native integrations that we currently have. However, on our website, we do have some more, which you can check. They come as an add-on. So if you're interested in any specific other integration in particular, you can always contact our support team. In this year, we're planning more accounting integrations to come and to allow for more third-party integrations, so we can make your life easier, because I'm sure that you use quite a lot of softwares. So by providing third-party integrations, we can allow you to integrate more of the current softwares that you're using with OfficeRnD. I would like to give the stage now to my colleague Pavel, who will take a look at the other two options that Miri mentioned in the beginning. One of them was the API and the other the webhooks. These are a bit more technical, maybe than Zapier in general that I mentioned, for example, for one of the native integrations. So he would elaborate a bit more how everything could be done and how we can help you with our API and the webhooks. And additionally to that, we also have prepared for you two more practical examples on how to work with Zapier. So he would also present those to you. Thanks again for listening, and welcome, Pavka.
Thanks, Vili. And thank you everyone for joining again today. We really appreciate your time to join us on this webinar. And for the next part of this webinar, what we'll be talking about is solutions that might not necessarily reside in OfficeRnD, or that we might not necessarily support in a simple way with, again, third-party software. So what we're going to be taking a look at here first is the closest that we can probably get to a built-in solution or a native solution. And this is connecting OfficeRnD with other apps through Zapier. Zapier is something that I assume most of the people attending this webinar are already familiar with. And for today's Zapier topic, we are just going to briefly cover what Zapier is, as well as go through a couple of examples on how it can be used. And some of these are actually published on Zapier as well, so you might see them if you're looking up OfficeRnD and potential integrations with it. So Zapier is a third-party automation tool that allows you to connect two pieces of software and allows them to communicate with each other on a trigger/action principle. Basically, triggers are events that happen in one software, and based off of those triggers, certain actions are going to be taken in the other software. So for today, we have a couple of examples, as I mentioned. The first one is going to use OfficeRnD as a trigger, and the second one is going to use OfficeRnD as an action. So the first one is a pretty simple integration between OfficeRnD and MailChimp. MailChimp allows us to create subscriber lists that we can send out newsletters to, or any additional communication that we might want to handle outside of OfficeRnD. And this example here is pretty straightforward. Whenever a new member is added into OfficeRnD, we also want to create them as a subscriber. So Zapier is a really easy tool to accommodate for this. We need to set up a trigger within OfficeRnD here, which is called new member. And this new member trigger is actually going to provide us with all the information that we need to connect that member into MailChimp as a subscriber. So this trigger will grant us the full member information. So we'll have their name, their email, their address, any additional custom properties that we might to pass on as well, such as date of birth or something similar. And with this simple integration, we'll also be able to tag these subscribers as well as assign them into specific subscriber groups. So we can have different subscriber groups that apply to different members that we're creating in the system. And again, we can tag these subscribers to track that they actually originate from OfficeRnD. So on the right-hand side here, we have just a general overview of the MailChimp dashboard for subscribers. And we're going to see examples of the source for these subscribers coming from Zapier, as well as the tag on the right-hand side here, which is called from OfficeRnD, so that we know exactly how many people ended up as subscribers through OfficeRnD as a platform versus maybe other sources that we have in order to generate subscribers for our newsletters. So again, pretty straightforward example, a single trigger and a single action, keeping things simple within Zapier. But this is just an example of what we can achieve with that. The next example is also a very useful one, and it actually connects OfficeRnD with Eventbrite. And Eventbrite is a platform where you can host your events. It's a little bit more advanced than OfficeRnD's functionalities because it allows us to sell tickets, allows us to publish events to different social media platforms and so on. And what we can do is we can actually synchronize the events information between OfficeRnD and between Eventbrite. Now, in this example, Eventbrite is going to be the one initiating the connection between OfficeRnD and Eventbrite software. And in this case, whenever we create a new event in Eventbrite, we also recreate that event within OfficeRnD. And this actually allows us to pass in the full event information, starting from the date and time, the location of the event, any description or details that we're adding, and even pulling in the image for the event that we've uploaded into Eventbrite instead of having to do this manually on the OfficeRnD site as well. In addition to that, we'll be able to include the Eventbrite URL directly into the OfficeRnD event. So if someone needs to find more or maybe purchase a ticket for the event, they'll be able to click that link either from the member portal or from the mobile app within OfficeRnD, and they'll be redirected to the correct place. Another nice and neat functionality here, which our premium mobile apps allow us to do, is to actually send push notifications to members' devices whenever a new event is created. So on the next slide, we actually have a couple of screenshots on how this is going to look. And in here, we'll see the different representation of an event that was created through Eventbrite within OfficeRnD. So first, we'll see how that looks in the member portal, where we can see the full event description, again, with the Eventbrite link and all of the information related to the event. Then we'll see an example screenshot of what the push notification looks like. So we'll see we have the push notification coming up to a member's phone. And then finally, we have the preview of the event within the OfficeRnD member app, where we can see that we can add this event to our calendar, and we can also click a read more link to find out more about this event on Eventbrite's page. So these are some of the very basic examples that we can achieve with Zapier. Zapier is capable of more advanced functionalities as well. However, those are some of the more premium features associated with that specific software. So for basic integrations, it's very, very useful and very, very simple to use. However, sometimes just using Zapier wouldn't be enough. And this is where our other two options come into play, the Open API that we have, as well as the Webhooks functionalities. And we'll see that each next option that we cover is going to build on top of the previous one with additional functionalities that we can achieve by using those. So for the next section, we want to talk about our Open API. Again, some of you might already be familiar with what APIs are, but an API is basically a way for a certain software to communicate with other softwares. This is the most common way that software actually communicates between each other. So with the API, we actually grant access to most of the information available within OfficeRnD. So whereas with Zapier, we would have a predefined set of triggers and actions that are possible within Zapier as a third-party provider. With the Open API, we greatly expand that. Where we now have a lot more access to create operations or update operations, retrieving more information in one go, and overall a lot more flexibility with how we want to collect and work with data either in OfficeRnD or from a third-party software. So if we move on to the next slide here, again, we're going to see the type of operator that would usually resort to the API. So this would be bigger spaces or spaces that are looking to expand, flex space chains with multiple locations, and usually operators that have a larger suite of software solutions that they need to combine and make sure that they communicate with each other adequately. So again, what does the Open API add on top of Zapier as option one? Well, it allows us to execute bulk operations on larger sets of data. So we're able to receive, let's say, a list of memberships that started since the beginning of the month, or a list of members that have purchased a very specific service. And it basically allows us to manipulate data in bulk rather than one by one, which would usually be the case with Zapier. The API also allows us to greatly control what data we're receiving. So we can use the API to actually filter out the data that we're going to be pulling in from the system, as well as pull in data from multiple different entities within OfficeRnD within a single API call. So all of this information is actually listed within our API documentation. It has been recently revamped as well, so it's much better organized, and you can actually test out examples of the API within our documentation now. So the link that we have at the bottom is a great source of information if you are planning on using the API. Again, with the added note that the Open API actually does require at least some development experience in order to use it. Now, that being said, we are going to talk a little bit about another solution, again, third-party automation tool, which allows us to use the OfficeRnD API without necessarily having to program everything that's related to accessing the API, retrieving or adding information to it. So the next software that we're going to be talking about is going to be Integromat. And Integromat is actually built on top of our API. So in order to enable using it, we do need to generate an API access token for Integromat. So it does rely on our built-in API tools in order to grant you with a larger variety of actions and information to retrieve from within OfficeRnD. So again, the main benefit of Integromat is that it does offer a more intuitive user interface in order to execute those API calls. And even if they don't have a specific functionality that we're looking for, it does also offer you the ability to actually execute a generic API call where you can actually program the API call and specify what information you're looking for as well. So again, some of the operations that are available within Integromat through the API, which wouldn't be readily available, let's say, within a tool like Zapier, would be, again, a larger variety of create and update operations. So we'll be able to create fees, we'll be able to update those fees, we'll be able to create and update bookings as well. So something that's a major difference between Zapier and Integromat is that update operations aren't really possible within Zapier at the moment. Again, some other benefits that Integromat offers is it actually allows us to schedule when these tasks are going to be running. So we can tell Integromat to run these tasks once every 15 minutes or once a day or on a weekly basis, depending on how often we need to execute certain operations. We're able to program that. And again, it also allows us to use a generic API call option, which will allow us to just look up an endpoint within the OfficeRnD documentation and execute an API call directly to that. So that's about it in terms of Integromat as a functionality. The final option that we want to take a look at for today is going to be our webhooks. So the webhooks feature has one major difference between the other options that we've explored so far. And that is the way that actions and events are triggered. So with both Zapier and the API approach, we rely on the polling method of receiving information. So with Zapier, for example, Zapier polls OfficeRnD every 15 minutes or so to see whether any new events have happened in the system and whether Zapier needs to take any actions based off of those. With Integromat, again, we actually need to poll OfficeRnD to retrieve data. So if we are looking for new memberships that started since a specific date, we'll need to be, looking at this information every single day. For example, if we have new memberships coming in every day, we need to execute an API call to retrieve that information every day. The difference between, or the differentiating factor between webhooks is that it works the other way around. So instead of an external system polling OfficeRnD and requesting information all the time to act upon, what webhooks allows us to do is to program a service to only listen for events. And OfficeRnD is going to be the one that's going to reach out to that service and provide specific information in the system. So webhooks in general are geared towards passing information onto external systems rather than putting information into OfficeRnD. However, webhooks can be combined again with all of the other automation tools, with Integromat, with our API, in order to basically create a full circle and a fully fledged automated solution between different pieces of software. So how does webhooks function? Webhooks, again, functions on the basis of events, which are pretty similar to triggers within Zapier. However, these events are much broader in terms of what they can actually cover within OfficeRnD. So we have events for bookings being updated, for contracts being created or being updated as well, membership changes, member information updates, and so on and so forth. And the other thing that's very useful with webhooks is that whenever something is updated into the system, the webhook is going to provide the original state of the information along with the updated state of that information. So we'll be able to make comparisons. Okay, what changed with regards to this member status, or what changed with regards to this contract, and what actions we need to take appropriately. So again, who would be the main users of the webhooks functionality? That this would be applicable to spaces who want to use OfficeRnD as, let's say, their main source of truth. We want OfficeRnD to be the main data hub that we have for our operations. All of the information that we want to have is going to be stored in OfficeRnD, and external systems are going to be reacting or retrieving and reacting based off of that information. So again, what does the webhook system allow us to do? It allows us to establish a real-time connection between our applications. So as soon as something happens within OfficeRnD, we fire an event. If your service is programmed to listen for that, it will be able to react on that event right away, and it will be able to acknowledge that the event was received. Again, it's going to deliver more curated data by default. So with the API, we need to manually filter out information based off of dates or specific criteria that we're looking for. With the webhooks approach, each event is going to be self-contained to the actual entity that changed. So if there's a single invoice that has been updated, for example, within the system, we're going to fire off a trigger for that invoice. If a single member has had their information changed, we're only going to send the information related to that member and not all of the information related to members in general. So again, this data is curated by default. And as I mentioned earlier, if we combine this with our API system, we will be able to have a two-way communication between applications without constantly calling for updates. So again, the API is going to be used to push data to OfficeRnD, whereas webhooks are going to pull data from OfficeRnD and provide that to external software. So again, with the webhooks examples, we have a couple of hypotheticals here mainly. Webhooks do require a lot more development experience to implement. So again, the caveat here is the more that we can do with the functionality, the more effort is required to automate it. But once this is done, again, it's another way to greatly save on our time because we do it once and then it acts on its own. So again, what can we use webhooks for? A hypothetical door access integration, for example, whenever a new membership is created, whenever we assign someone to an office, we have a webhook that's going to provide us with that information. So when was the membership created? What are the start dates and end dates of this membership? Which office is this membership assigned to? Who should we grant access to based off of this membership's information? Similarly to that, if we update a membership and we relocate a company from Office A into Office B, for example, we do have a membership updated webhook as well, which is going to pass along the new office information to, again, a third-party door access integration, and we'll be able to take action based off of those steps to maybe update the access levels for that specific company or for members within that specific company. Similarly to that, OfficeRnD does, or the webhooks functionality within OfficeRnD can be used in a third-party solution for CRM software as well. So if you're not using one of our built-in CRM integrations, we can use the API to push contacts and potential deals into OfficeRnD as opportunities. Once we have that data into OfficeRnD, we can act upon it. So we can maybe create a contract and use that as an offer, or once we've negotiated everything, send out the contract for signing. And again, because of the webhook functionality allows us to track the status of a contract, we will be able, as soon as the contract is signed within OfficeRnD, we will be able to send out the contract updated event outside of OfficeRnD and our CRM of choice, or again, the service that we've programmed to listen for this event will be able to react and maybe update that deal as closed and as being won. So with webhooks, again, they are tied, similar to the API, they are tied to most of the information entities that we have within the system. So we have webhooks based around bookings, members, memberships, contracts, invoices even, where with the invoices, we're actually allowed to track more advanced information, such as whether a payment was made for an invoice or whether a credit note was generated and was allocated to a specific invoice. We do have all of that information available within our webhook system. So it does allow us for much more advanced integrations that something like Integromat or Zapier will be able to achieve on their own. So that's pretty much it in terms of the more advanced automation options that we have available within the system. So with that, we are going to be wrapping up the topic for today's webinar. And just before we wrap this up, we would want to mention that we have a newsletter that's going to come out with the recording of this webinar. So make sure you pay attention to that one. It's going to contain a lot of information that we covered today, but it's also going to be summarized nicely for you to review as well. And with that being said, we now have a few more minutes left where we can answer some of your questions and we can start taking a look at those. I believe Miri and Billy have been answering those questions in chat already. As far as I could tell, we have quite a few people active within chat. So we can start answering some of the questions there. Okay, so we'll start here with something that we haven't answered already. Okay, so the first question that we have is coming from Ben, and it's related to Zapier. Are there any plans to add OfficeRnD actions in Zapier, allowing to update a member, add a comment, upload an attachment? At the moment, because the webhooks functionality in combination with the API actually handles that, we don't really have any plans to update the Zapier actions that we have at the moment. But this is something that we're always open to exploring in case demand increases, or excuse me, or we see that again there's great interest with some of those features. So okay, so I'm not sure if we have anything much more. So we have a question if we have any plans to make membership plans more flexible. That probably warrants a larger discussion around the topic, when at the moment we don't really have that much time to go in depth around that. So Adam, if you want to, feel free to reach out to us separately. We'll be able to cover that if you have any specifics around that. Okay, so it seems like that's pretty much it for now. We should be right on time to wrap this up as well. So one final thing. Again, we want to thank you for your time today. If you have any additional questions or anything that you would like to follow up on, our emails are on screen. Feel free to reach out. We'll be able to assist you even after the webinar. So
thanks, guys,
from
again
all of
for
us,
joining.
Yeah,
Have a great night
you.
ahead. Bye.
All right. Bye, everyone.